darkness, and I believe my heart is turned to stone. And oh, darling, darling, what have I done? Now I don't say anything at all. Well, God don't listen to me no ways. Now I'm left here all alone. Ooh, I hear what the neighbors say, that poor boy, he's lost his way. Well, I let the others pray. Ooh, darling, darling, what have I done? Now I do my talking with a gun, and blood will spill into the gutters, and it will stain the morning sun. Ooh, tell me what the hell I've done. Can I stop at one, or have I just begun? Take out the bodies that live, Lord, it gets me high. I think I'm gonna get my fill of taking lives. Lord, I don't wanna let my baby die. Well, I just wanna give her something warm of the kind. Oh, darling, darling, what have I done? I've been astray from you too long, and all my days have turned to darkness. Hell is leaving the light on, and ooh, it'll hang me way up high. God himself will drop me from the sky and let me swing a while. Oh, darling, darling, what have I done? 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 What have I done?
Okay, all right. So this freaking idiot, man. Hold on, let me make sure this is all right. All right, great. Okay. Yeah, so I got to let you guys hear what the idiot had to say. It's just ridiculous. It's a shame. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating for him, for his family, for his supporters. It's pretty bad, right? So, I mean, I just had to add some context and educate people on this. I mean, and then he has his little minion boy, Ben Daniels, talking about the same crap. These people aren't smart. There's just no way they graduated high school. I just refuse to believe it. It says, so I proposed this to Grok and Gemini, and just wanted Grok and Gemini to elaborate so I can educate these people. But it is not fair or appropriate to draw a direct comparison between ION and ESPN regarding WNBA preseason game coverage and associated viewership ratings. Elaborate comprehensively. Use the ESPN preseason games in 2025 for context. Now, let me go here. Okay, so we're going to go here. We're going to go to black and white sports 2. Okay, I'm going to go to this channel. And he does a video about fever ratings way down. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay. All right, here it is. Yuck.
You're tuning into.
So what I want to do is that we're going to go to, it's around like, maybe it starts off here, but he just makes himself look like an idiot. It's just disgusting. Let's start off here when he first goes to it.
So let's get to something that's being celebrated, and I'm rather confused by it. All right, the WNBA on ION's telecast of the first preseason game of the year with the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty. Let's keep it real, the two biggest teams in the league. The Indiana Fever and New York Liberty on Saturday, April 25th, delivered an average audience of 743,000. That is an increase of 76% over ION's first preseason game last season. And I was like, well, am I going nuts, or does 743,000 feel a little light? That feels light to me. So I got to doing a little digging. Well, they're celebrating with higher ratings based on a Dallas Wings Aces game from last year. They got 406,000 viewers, and a Chicago Sky Brazil game averaging 305,000 viewers. They were not comparing this 76% increase to another Indiana Fever preseason game. So I got to look and was like, well, that's a little suspicious. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I went to look. The Indiana Fever against Brazil on ESPN averaged 1.3 million viewers, peaking at 1.6. I don't know about you guys, just quick math. That's basically a 600,000 less viewership.
He is just not smart. He is not smart. This is just ION showing its own progress, okay, for its own network, y'all. That's all this is. They're not supposed to compare their success for preseason games up against an established 24/7 sports network like ESPN with far more resources in terms of marketing. It's an absolute joke. This is just ION showing you its growth year over year with preseason games. Just its growth, showing you its own growth, right? But he is so quick to get on his knees and stick out his tongue and hope that Caitlin Clark would drop a nice turd on it so that he can show Caitlin Clark supporters that he's all in. So he's going to manufacture some garbage, some BS narrative that somehow ION and the WNBA are doing this to sort of downplay Caitlin. And this has nothing to do with any of that. This is ION showing you. We just set a record last preseason game with the Fever and Liberty. Now against Dallas, we're going to break that. We're going to break that record we just set. And they're going to get well over 1 million for tonight's game. This has nothing to do with ESPN. But once again, these people, they don't have anything to talk about. They don't have anything of any substance. And so they come up with BS fallacies and narratives and garbage because these aren't impressive people. These aren't intelligent people. They just aren't. So they have to manufacture BS, right? So if you guys been watching my live streams, I've been doing with these basketball games coming on. I mean, it's extremely comprehensive, robust, just layered, man. And I'm breaking down plays. I'm telling you different screens and different cuts and defenses and certain offenses they weren't running and personnel and why they're running. I'm breaking down coaching and schemes and everything like that. I mean, it's extremely diagnostic. They can't do these types of things. Even tonight when they live stream the Fever game, they could never tell you what they're seeing except for a basic flare screen. They don't know what they're watching. And so you'll hear just narratives. Caitlin off the ball. There's Caitlin off the ball again. Or she's off the ball again. That's all you'll see. These are bland, unimpressive, prosaic, vapid people. Okay? And so they have to come up with BS like this because they're unimpressive people. They're not dynamic in any way. Right? So we're going to get to it. But let's go to his little minion. Let's go to Ben Daniels. Let's go to Ben Daniel. Let's go here. So he did the same thing. Now, I didn't watch this. Now, of course, you know, this is low-hanging fruit. Him attacking Angel Reese. I don't particularly like Angel Reese, but low-hanging fruit because he have nothing of substance. So he knows that the racist Caitlin Clark fans are going to eat this up. Stupid black fans are going to eat this up. So he knows it. So this is a cheap little way to get rating, to get views real quick because he has nothing of substance to talk about, right? So low-hanging fruit, the default, if you need some quick views, attack Angel Reese. And that's what this is. So this, you listen, you want to talk about bad karma, judgment, bad energy, bad things coming his way. Listen, it's unnecessary. If you're going to attack Angel Reese, it has to be something where, listen, she said something horrible. She did something horrible. But you trying to create and make up something to make her look bad so you can get some quick little views from it just shows your true character, and it shows how karma is going to attack you in a vicious way, a vile, vicious way because of how you're covering her. If I have anything against Angel Reese, it's going to come naturally within the actual news cycle where it's relevant, true, relevant, authentic information. It's not going to be something inflammatory. It's not going to be something meretricious so you can just quickly get some quick views or something. So you're attacking her to get a laugh like you attacked the civil rights movement. That same dude, right? Attack the civil rights movement so he can appease racist white supporters of his. Okay? A total slave. He's a total slave. So, right. And so this is the same thing. And so he's going to try to do the same thing with ESPN. These people are disgusting. These people. So when I hear something bad happen to him, I'm not going to clap or celebrate, but I am going to play Chief Keef laughing to the bank. That's what I am going to play. Right. So I just want to make that clear. So, wow, this is 2 videos back to back each day where he's attacking Angel Reese. So you got Angel Reese on here. He's got Angel Reese. Where's that at? Yeah, he's attacking Angel Reese here. He's attacking Angel Reese there. Okay. And none of this is warranted. If I'm going to make a video about Angel, it's going to be warranted. It's not going to be cheap. It's going to be because she did something outrageous. Okay. She said something outrageous that could have a negative impact, a negative effect on the league, on the sport, on her team, for her teammates, or something like that. It's not going to be something manufactured, something that's some low-hanging fruit fake crap so he can get some quick views to just give this type of junk food to these thirsty, sloppy, messy Caitlin Clark fans. right? He's a whole whore. He's a hoe, y'all. That is a hoe you're looking at right there. A whole hoe. All right. So let's get back to this. So let me go back to Grok. So I said, it is not fair it is not fair or appropriate to draw a direct comparison between Ion and ESPN regarding WNBA preseason game coverage and associated viewership ratings. Elaborate comprehensively. Use the ESPN preseason games in 2025 for context. So Grok says, it is indeed not fair or appropriate to draw a direct apples-to-apples comparison between Ion and ESPN on WNBA preseason game coverage and viewership ratings, particularly when using ESPN's 2025 preseason broadcast as context. Such a comparison overlooks fundamental structural, operational, and contextual differences between two networks' roles, resources, and audiences in the WNBA ecosystem. While raw Nielsen numbers might appear starkly different, they do not reflect equivalent conditions, investments, or expectations. Below is a comprehensive breakdown grounded in the 2025 preseason specifics. All right. So let's get into the context. I know people have low attention spans. I get it, but you're going to have to somehow fight through it, people. Be smarter people. Fight through it. Don't be lazy minded. Fight, fight, fight. Your attention span can grow. Fight. Okay. 2025 preseason context. The first fully national broadcast slate. The 2025 WNBA preseason marked a historic milestone. For the first time, all 15 preseason games were made available nationally via broadcast cable or streaming, with 14 also on WNBA League Pass. This was part of the league's expanding media partnerships under the ongoing rights deals. ESPN and Ion each air select games, but the assignments were not symmetrical. ESPN received high-profile, star-driven matchups with built-in national interest, while Ion handled a mix of other contests as part of its established Friday night doubleheader format, which carried over from its regular season role. ESPN's standout example was the Indiana Fever versus Brazilian women's national team exhibition on May 4th, 2025, played at Caitlin Clark's alma mater, Iowa. It averaged 1.3 million viewers, peaking at 1.6 million, a 13% increase over ESPN's 2024 regular season WNBA average per game. This was the network's highest preseason audience in years, outperforming every NBA preseason game on ESPN since 2018. Except LeBron James-led contest. So once again, remember Ben Gay Daniels podcast and Black and Pathetic Sports were trying to crap on the WNBA and trying to say you could never do anything better than the NBA and all of these things. Well, check this out. Okay, so anyway. All right, the accompanying WNBA Countdown pregame show drew 571,000 viewers. That's up 71% year over year. By contrast, Ion's preseason slate included games like the Dallas Wings versus Las Vegas Aces at 406,000 viewers in the early window, and the Chicago Sky versus Brazilian national team at 305,000 in a late window, both showing double-digit percentage gains over Ion's prior regular season averages in those slots. A later high-profile Ion game, Indiana Fever versus New York Liberty, set an Ion preseason record at 743,000 average viewers, peaking at 822,000. Numerically, ESPN's figures dwarfed Ion's, but equating the two ignores why those disparities exist. Structural differences making direct comparisons inappropriate. Number one, platform distribution and audience reach models. ESPN operates as a premium sports cable streaming network, part of the Disney bundle, widely available via cable, satellite, and ESPN Plus. Its core audience consists of dedicated sports fans who actively seek out content on the worldwide leader in sports. Viewership here benefits from habitual sports viewing patterns and multi-platform simulcasting. Ion, owned by Scripps, is primarily an over-the-air broadcast network available free via antenna in most U.S. markets, plus cable carriage. It reaches a broader but less sports-centric general audience. See that? This is the key point right here. Okay, this is key. This is freaking key right here. Hold on, let me get that. This is key. Let me highlight that real quick. It reaches a broader but less sports-centric general audience. Let me read that again. It reaches a broader but less sports-centric general audience. That's one of the key differences. Jesus Christ, these people are stupid. Okay. While this theoretically offers wider potential household penetration, sports viewership on ION relies more on casual discovery. Another key point to highlight here. Let's read that again. While this theoretically offers wider potential household penetration, sports viewership on ION relies on more casual discovery or appointment viewing rather than a built-in sports ecosystem like ESPN has. Nielsen metrics are standardized, but the baseline viewer pools differ significantly. ESPN draws from a pre-filtered sports demographic. ION does not. Number 2, promotion, marketing, and brand investment. ESPN has been the WNBA's flagship partner for decades and pours substantial resources into promotion. Dedicated studio programming, social media campaigns, cross-promotion across its vast portfolio, and on-air hype. The Clark, Iowa game exemplified this, positioned as a major event with rock star treatment and heavy buildup, unlike this past preseason game on ION against the Liberty. ION's role is supplementary Friday night spotlight doubleheaders. It lacks ESPN's promotional infrastructure or sports brand equity. Its gains in 2025 were notable, but occurred with far less fanfare or integrated marketing support. Comparing ratings without accounting for this is like judging two retailer sales when one runs a massive ad campaign and the other does not. Number 3, game selection and star power. Allocation networks do not receive identical slates. ESPN secured premium high-interest games. These inherently drive higher curiosity and tune-in. ION's assignments, while competitive and growing, generally feature less concentrated star power or event-like drama in the same windows. Even ION's record Fever Liberty game trailed ESPN's comparable Clark vehicle by a wide margin precisely because of differences in hype and matchup framing. Number 4, production quality, ancillary content, and viewer experiences. Also, ION streams in 720p. The difference is that you have some networks, and they love this. They think it just allows for better stability. Seriously, like ESPN will do 720p. Excuse me, not ESPN, but ABC, sometimes CBS. This is what they do. The difference is that they will do 720p 60 frames per second. Some ION, you will see them 720p 30 frames per second. That's the difference. Now, what we're hoping is that ION will move up to 720p 60 frames per second. ION there are also some games where ESPN and these other networks will do 1080p or 4K. Okay, but they don't do it often. They do it for major matchups where they would use 4K or 1080p 60 frames per second. ION sticks to 720p 30 frames per second. Now, I have seen ION use 60 frames per second, but it's capped at 720p. So anyway, let me move on. Production quality, ancillary content, and viewer experience. ESPN delivers 4 production packages: expert commentary, advanced analytics, multiple camera angles, and seamless pre-post game integration. This creates higher perceived value and longer viewer retention. ION's coverage is solid but more streamlined, consistent with its broadcast model. ESPN's countdown alone outdrew many full ION games, illustrating the halo effect of ancillary programming. Number 5, scheduling, competition, and broader ecosystem factors. ESPN's 2025 preseason slots, for example, Sunday afternoon, face less direct competition and align with peak sports viewing habits. ION's Friday night windows, while consistent with its regular season identity, competed in a different primetime landscape. Broader 2025 WNBA momentum amplified ESPN's platform advantage, with the league averaging 1.3 million viewers across 25 ESPN regular season games. That was up 6% year over year. Why this matters for fair analysis: direct numerical comparisons misleadingly imply one network outperformed the other in isolation, ignoring that they fulfill different roles in the WNBA's media strategy. ESPN serves as the premium high visibility flagship with massive marketing muscle and star vehicle priority. ION provides valuable, accessible, supplementary national exposure, especially important for broadening reach via free OTA television, and has shown consistent growth since entering WNBA rights in 2023. Both contributed to the league's unprecedented 2025 visibility, but their viewership figures are not interchangeable benchmarks. Treating them as equivalent would be akin to comparing NFL ratings on NBC primetime versus a regional or secondary carrier without context. The 2025 ESPN preseason data actually underscores the complementary nature of the partnerships. ESPN maximizes peak interest, while ION helps sustain weekly engagement. Fair evaluation should focus on year-over-year growth within each network's lane, not cross-network head-to-head tallies. This approach better reflects the collaborative media landscape driving WNBA expansion rather than pitting platforms against each other so you can booty lick Caitlin Clark to appease her fan base. Okay, and essentially Gemini is saying the same thing. The reason why you want to turn over every stone and run it through through two different AIs is simply because one AI may give you context, the other AI may not, right? But they're both valuable. Okay, so you run through it with a fine-tooth comb. But what I would like to do is I just sort of want to get to the bottom line, but I don't want to miss important context. So I'm just going to scroll real quick, a nice little quick scan. Cable, satellite versus antenna. ESPN is a premium cable product. Its viewership is gated by subscription costs, but concentrated among hardcore sports fans. The reach of ION is available for free via digital antennas in nearly every U.S. household. While this suggests a larger potential audience, the measurement of OTA viewership via Nielsen has historically faced more friction than digital cable logs. In 2025, while ESPN averaged 1.3 million viewers for regular season windows, ION's 627,000 average represented a different demographic, one that is younger, more diverse, and more likely to be cord cutters, which is great. And this is one of the reasons in 2023, ION or Scripps purchased 6 to 8 extra WNBA games, right? So what they purchased 11 or 13 WNBA games when they first did the deal with the WNBA. But it was going so great, particularly with this younger demographic and the female demographic, just blowing it out of the water, that ION asked the WNBA, could they purchase 6 or 8 extra games, right? And so those were app-only games. You were only going to see those games on the app. And ION was able to purchase those, and it boosted ION even more, okay? So that's something ESPN can't say. ESPN isn't growing certain demographics, not younger and not necessarily female, not to the rate, to the level ION is, right? And so that's important. So I knew, this is why I say you run it through different AIs, because Grok didn't give you that context, okay? So number 3, star power and scheduling intent. Okay, so Grok focused on this, but let me just scan real quick. Okay, yeah, Grok covered that. All right, so you see this chart right here. That's one thing I like about Gemini. Gemini will give you charts, which makes sense. Okay, the verdict. Judging ION's success by ESPN's ratings ignores that ION is succeeding at a different task. ESPN is designed to capture the peak of WNBA hype and monetize it through subscriptions. Ion is designed to provide a foundation, reliable, free, and consistent access to the games that ESPN's limited window doesn't cover. Key takeaway: using ESPN's preseason numbers to downplay Ion's performance is a misunderstanding of sports media economics. Ion's 15% growth in non-fever games in 2025 proves the network is successfully building the league's middle class of fans, which is arguably more vital for long-term sustainability than ESPN's top-heavy ratings. Boom. So I told y'all, this is why you got to run it through a fine-tooth comb. This is why you got to run it through multiple different AIs. And I didn't even go to just the traditional Google AI. I didn't even go to ChatGPT, right? And so it's good to just run it through different AIs because each one would give you unique, important context, other nuggets the other one didn't give you to add on to your point, okay? And so that's what this is. That's all this is, right? So this is very important. So Ion is beating ESPN year over year in demographics like female, like younger audiences, okay? Also, Ion is winning over ESPN with the middle class, right? That these are games that don't include the fever or don't include major popular teams. Ion is improving 15%, right? So he didn't want to highlight those things. What he wanted to do, because he's not intelligent, he's not smart, he's not witty, he's not clever, he's not brilliant, he's not a genius, okay? He doesn't have foresight, he has poor comprehension, he reads at a third grade level. That's the problem. So when you can't comprehend things, when you can't process things, when you can't retain things, when you don't have foresight and you're not proactive in any way, you then spit out and disseminate garbage the way him and Ben Daniel does. Okay, so that's essentially what that is. I mean, it's the same dude who can't pronounce names. He's still calling Nafisi Collier. He could be doing it on purpose. He's still calling Neka Gumake Nike Gumake. He's still calling Satu Sabali Satu Sabali. And he's butchering other names. He still can't pronounce interesting. He's saying interesting, right? It's just the dumbest thing in the world, okay? So, and then you will often see Ben Daniels fumbling over words and all sorts of different things. I mean, these guys are stupid. Ben Daniels is the same dude that didn't know what 3% of 152 was. Like, these guys are just dumb people. These guys are stupid people, man. Okay, so that's what I wanted to highlight, you guys. That's what I wanted to get into. Listen, tonight is going to be pretty major. Pretty major tonight. Pretty major tonight. And so you'll see Ion break the record it just set for Ion. Now, what is this going to do? This is going to cause these other networks next preseason to fight for some of these preseason games that they did not want. ESPN was okay last year taking that Caitlin Clark game because it was at Iowa. It was at Iowa, Carver Hawkeye, right? And so, boom, they blew it up. They put a lot of money behind it, and it paid off for them. Did so much better than any NBA preseason game not featuring LeBron James, right? But where was ESPN this time around? What was ESPN this time around? Maybe there was a preseason game on ESPN this year. I don't remember. I forgot. I don't know. So far, all I've been knowing is just Ion has been doing these preseason games. Maybe I missed one. I don't believe I did. But it's all on Ion. So Ion said, wait a second, WNBA, we'll take these preseason games. We'll take them. CBS is saying, we're not going to waste our time on that. We're not going to waste our time on that. We won't get much in return. NBC said, we don't need them. We're not going to waste our money on marketing these games. We won't see much in return. ESPN and ABC said, we don't need them. We don't need them. Won't be much in return we'll get from it. And Ion said, watch this. Ion said, watch this. Okay. So now, anytime you see 700 plus in ratings And that's on a network that's just now starting to build in the women's sports space versus something already established like ESPN or CBS or NBC in terms of sports, and they see what Ion is doing, over 700,000, and now tonight over 1 million, they will average over 1 million. Guess what? Next preseason, you see all of these preseason games that weren't aired last night and last week, you'll see those games on NBC Sports, CBS Sports, ESPN. You're going to see them. You're going to see them. And then we get more stars in the league next season, right? So we get Juju Watkins. We get Hannah Hidalgo. We get Malaysia Fawali. We get Audi Crooks, right? So we're going to get these big names next season in the league. And you pair that with the big names we got this season in the draft. And then you pair that with the big names we got in 2024, right? And so like, that's what that is. So you pair that with Caitlin and Angel Reese, right? You pair that with AZ Fudd and Lauren Betts and some of the rest. And then here comes Juju Watkins, and here comes Hannah Hidalgo and Audi Crooks and Malaysia Fawali and other ones that'll make a name for themselves like Chloe Kitts and Ashlyn Watkins and other ones, right? Like, this is what it is. This is what it is. Okay. Oh, I forgot Sonia Citron, Kiki Area Fed, and these other ones. Like, this is what it is, you guys. This is what it is. And so now you got all of these big names coming in next season, on top of you still having Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and some of the other popular ones from 2024, and then the ones you got in 2025, and then the ones you got in 2026. They can clearly see all we got to do, obviously, just throw a little bit of money behind this. Not much, because we don't have to throw a lot behind it because it's just a preseason game. And we're essentially going to make money hand over fist. By what? Selling ad spots for a premium price, a premium rate. Like, that's what it is. And so for a preseason game, normally we would sell a 10-second ad for this or a 15-second ad for that. Now, with the WNBA, we could sell a 10-second ad for substantially more and make a lot of money back that we spent marketing, promoting this game, which wasn't really a lot because we are an established platform. So we don't have to do much. All we have to do is put Shanae Agumake and Andrea Carter on First Take. And right. And Stephen A. Smith, he's talking to Shanae and they're talking about preseason game. And we could put them on Get Up with Mike Greeny, whatever the hell his name is, and they could talk about the preseason game tonight. That's it. Or they could go on the new WNBA show on ESPN and talk about some preseason games. That's it, right? And then when that preseason game comes on next season, Indiana Fever versus with Juju Watkins now in the Fever's lineup versus some other team that's featuring Hannah Hidalgo or someone, that game is on ESPN. That game is going to peak at probably 3 million and average 2 million. Because if the Fever lose 2 of their starters to injury this season, expect Juju Watkins in the Indiana Fever uniform next season. Expect Juju Watkins in the Indiana Fever uniform next season. Or Hannah Hidalgo. But I believe the Fever will be a lottery team, and I think they're going to end up getting a number 1 pick. So I'm just telling you, if 2 of the Fever starters go out with an injury, expect Juju Watkins in the Stranger Things Rebel Edition uniform next season. Because to me, this looks like a surreptitious tank. That's what it looks like to me. Seriously, right? You're 2 starters away. You're 2 starters going down from you being a lottery team. And we are seeing Juju Watkins at the 3 spot, Caitlin Clark at the 1 spot. And I don't know who the hell is going to be at the 2 spot because I don't know what they're going to do with Kelsey Mitchell. So your new big 3 would be Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and Juju Watkins. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like a surreptitious tank. And I called out both tanks. I called out them tanking before it ever happened to get Aaliyah Boston. Turned out to be true. I called them tanking to get Caitlin Clark before it ever happened, and it turned out to be true. I'm telling you what's going on right now. You're 2 starters away, 2 injuries away from your starters from having Juju Watkins in a Fever uniform next season. That's a fact. That's a fact. And that explains why you still haven't addressed your big situation. You still haven't addressed your big. You had Kyla Oldacre. You could have brought her in. They said no. You got Sedona Prince on the IG story living the life in Texas, some part of Texas. It almost looked like she's in freaking Brazil somewhere. I've never seen Texas look that beautiful, that tropical. I don't know where the hell she is, but she's in Texas, some part of Texas where it looks like she's in Brazil some damn where. And she's just living it up, Sedona Prince, after murdering these chicks overseas. Okay? So you could bring in Sedona Prince. Well, Sedona Prince has freaking skeletons in her closet. She has issues. I don't care. I don't care. She wasn't convicted of any crimes. Every freaking civil suit was dropped or dismissed. At this point, it's just allegations. She's Lauren Betts, except she has a three-point shot and Lauren Betts doesn't have a three-point shot. Now, Lauren Betts is a better on-ball defender in terms of defending guards and wings, but they pass the same. They have the same low post, high post move, the same blocking, the same rebounding, the same mid-range game, except Sedona could make threes at a high clip. Right? That's the difference. So you mean to tell me you got $311,000 left, you can go get Sedona Prince on a veteran minimum, and the Fever said no. You still got Tierra McCowan out there. I know she's slow. She doesn't run fast. So what? That's 6'7", 245. Easy double-double machine. The Fever are saying no. Kalani Brown is out there. 6'7", 230 pounds. You can go get Kalani Brown. She's slow, a little bit faster than Tierra, but now she has a corner three now. She added that corner three. She always had a mid-range game and high and low post. You can go get Kalani Brown for the veteran minimum. Man, the Fever are saying, no, we're good. You got Betty Hattar, 6'10", a pure two-level threat, can stretch you out for the corner three, runs a 4.3 40, defense, offense, every move on the face of the earth in the high and low post, fallaways and fadeaways, you name it. It can literally defend 1 through 5, 6'10", but moves like she's 5'10", laterally. And you can bring in Betty Hattar for the veteran minimum, and the Fever said, nah, we're good on that. Anastasia Bodareva, 6'6", close to 6'7", shot blocking queen, rebounder, high and low post game, a plethora of different moves in a high and low post, mid-range shooter, and has three-point ability, right? She could step out and hit the three-point shot from time to time. And the Indiana Fever said, no, we're not going to bring her in for the veteran minimum either. So it's clear to me that this is a surreptitious tank. That's what's clear to me. I know Raven is going to play good defense and take care of the basketball. You'll get some good games from Shatori every now and again. She's sort of like Emma Cannon, where you can expect at least 5 good games out of her during the season. That's why you keep them around. I'm talking about 5 damn good games. That's why you keep them around. So she'll give you 5 to 10 really good games this year, which could be the difference. So I understand Shatori is going to give you 5 to 10 really good games, right? Damiris Dantes is going to bail you out sometimes with some timely threes. I mean, I get it. Totally get it, man. But that's just not enough. Michaela Timpson might have a game where she sort of deterred people from trying to go inside for a shot, but that's not going to happen for 44 games. That's not going to happen for 30 games. And so, okay, so Michaela blocked 2 shots this game, and in the next 3 games, she blocked 1 shot, right? And her numbers, she's not producing big numbers or anything significant, anything of note in terms of offense or rebounding. And so what's the point? So you're hurting yourself if you just look at it. Justine Posada's a rookie. She's not going to do this every game, what she did last preseason game. It's not going to happen. They're going to defend her differently. What you saw last preseason game was bare bones. These teams aren't showing you what they're really going to do. They were freestyling. They were freestyling defense. They were freestyling on offense. That's all it was. These teams are freestyling, right? So Carl Smesco said last night they didn't run a single design play against Chicago. They were just out there spitballing. He was just trying to see chemistry, trying to see how these players could make something from nothing, seeing how they will work together. Literally, Carl Smesco, post-game, we were just out there spitballing. We didn't run anything, no design plays. That's how it is. You're not going to show your whole hand, your full hand, and sometimes you're just going to do what he's doing, spitballing. So to believe that somehow Justine Passat is going to be draining threes left and right, she's going to have her way because she's 6'3". Come on, get the hell out of here. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. So there will be some games where she'll get some sneaky threes. Like, oh yeah, Justine, hell yeah. And then there'll be games where she looked like she should be a development player. There are going to be games like that. A lot of them. So like I said, you start looking at the roster. Let me go here. You start looking at the roster. It's like, man, the Fever are 2 injuries away from selecting Juju Watkins #1 overall, right? But the ratings for preseason are going to be out of this world. Out of this world. Because of Juju Watkins in the Fever uniform. So let's go. So like I say, when you look here, what do you see? What do you see? You see one of the least impressive rosters in the WNBA in terms of depth. And even with its starters, outside of its 3 main starters. So once you get past 6 players, everything gets extremely basic, right? Extremely basic. And you can make an argument, their starters are basic except for 3 of them. You can make that argument, right? So Monique Billings is a bench player. She's a role player. That's all she's ever been. Now, you give her credit for improving the last 2 seasons, but she's a bench player making starter money, thrust into the starting role. And there'll be some games where Monique Billings looks nice, and there'll be a lot of games where she looks like who she is, a bench player, a role player. Now, there'll be games, Caitlin, she's going to make her look good. But you're going to see Monique Billings look like a role player, a bench player. That's just the way it is. Some games she'll stand out, but she'll always eventually look like a bench player or role player, right? So she's your starting power forward. Let's go to your starting three spot, which would be Sophie Cunningham. I don't know if they're giving that back to Lexi Hall, even though they're paying Lexi Hall the most money. I'm not so sure about that. But if it's Sophie Cunningham, you can expect a very good 3-point percentage, right? In the high 30s. That's what you're going to expect from Sophie Cunningham. She's going to hustle really hard in a 50-50 game. She's going to get out and run and transition. Her defense is, if I had to give her a letter grade, Sophie's defense is a B-, but that's fair. Okay, but that's Sophie. I mean, it's nothing elite. It's nothing special, but that's fair. Okay, so those are 2 of your starters. One of them is a bench player, making a lot of money for a bench player. Sophie is a career bench player. Now, she's had a couple seasons where she was getting a lot of starting time, but with the Mercury. But Sophie is really a bench player. That's Sophie. Okay? So you got 2 bench players in your starting lineup. 2 of them. So what does that mean if Aaliyah Boston is out for the season with an injury, if that happens? And if Caitlin Clark goes out with a season-ending injury, or they're out for a significant period of time, what's going to happen, you guys, when your power forward is a career bench player, when your small forward, your wing, is a career bench player, when your 6th woman, Lexi Hall, plays like a career bench player, even though she's had her moments where she was the starter. But Lexi Hall, on offense at least, plays like a career bench player. What's going to happen? What's going to happen when the point guard you drafted, a lockdown defender, 50-50 player, she's going to take care of the basketball, but she is a rookie and she's not a high volume shooter. So so if Caitlin goes down, it's not like Raven is going to be averaging 15 shots a game or 18 shots a game. That's not going to happen. So you won't ever be able to make for the loss of Aaliyah Boston's and Caitlin Clark's point production. Because you're still going to get exquisite defense from Raven, exquisite 50-50 play from Raven, and she's going to take care of the basketball. But what you're not going to get is 15 to 18 shot attempts. And you don't know if her efficiency is going to be there, even if she only attempts 10 to 12 shots. What about efficiency? So you can't guarantee efficiency. Now, I know this past season with South Carolina, she had, to me, her best year for efficiency. But that's college. That's not the pros. And you can't judge. You can't say, well, look at her first preseason game. Once again, they weren't running anything. The opponent wasn't running anything. New York, they weren't running anything, y'all. They were spitballing on offense and defense. That's the way it was, right? So if Caitlin and Aaliyah goes down, you're stuck with Monique Billings, career bench player, Sophie Cunningham, career bench player, Lexi Hall, career bench-like player on offense. Raven Johnson can't make up for Caitlin Clark's point production or Aaliyah's. That's a problem. Ty Harris, career bench player. Maisha Hines-Allen, career bench player. Okay, who else we have? Justine Passat, rookie, bench player. Michaela Timpson, bench player. She can jump really high, but she's a bench player. Who else do we have? Freaking Shatori Walker-Kimbrough, career 6 woman and now rotational role player. Like, come on, what are we talking about, y'all? Damiris Dantes, great role player, bench player, though. What are we talking about? Y'all, this got Juju Watkins written all over it. This has Juju Watkins written all over it, and they're going to sell you on chemistry, familiarity, comfortability, locker room, right? Locker room. Look at what we did last season with Stephanie White. And we're going to continue to push the pace. And we're going to go from 5 to at least 2 or 3 in pace. Yeah, when everyone's healthy, it's going to look pretty decent at first. But what's going to happen when these injuries start to pile up due to attrition because of this pace, right? So when you're having someone like Aaliyah who still has a nagging injury and you're trying to push pace, you're trying to go from 5 to top 3 because the Fever finished the season top 5 in pace at number 5, right? So we understand pace is more than just running up and down the court, but that's the key part of it, right? So speed, quickness, that's pace. Scoring, getting to where you want to be in a very little amount of time versus other teams. And sometimes that requires moving the basketball faster, quicker. And then sometimes that requires running nonstop. And so what happens is what? A player like Aaliyah Boston, her lower extremity gets injured again. It gets re-aggravated. And she has this nagging injury where she's in and out. And potentially they sit her for the whole year, like they did Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's quad is acting up again. Her growing. Caitlin had a high ankle sprain. Oh my gosh, her meniscus tear. Oh, Caitlin blew out her Achilles. What's going to happen? What's going to happen when you're stuck with nothing but bench players? Because everyone that's on the Fever's roster, not named Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and Aaliyah Boston, are career bench players or new bench players like Justine Passat and Raven. Even though Raven, for her defense, she should be a starter for some team just based off of defense, hustle plays, and the fact that she's going to take care of the basketball. But on the Fever, she's a bench player. Let's just call it what it is. On the New York Liberty, she would be a bench player. On the Atlanta Dream, she would be a bench player. On the Las Vegas Aces, she would be a bench player. On the Phoenix Mercury, she would be a bench player, right? So like on the Dallas Wings, she would be a bench player. Let's call it what it is. So Raven Johnson is a bench player unless she's on the Portland Fire or potentially the Toronto. Well, yeah, bench player on Toronto because of Julie Alleman. LA Sparks, she would be a bench player. Chicago Sky, she would be a bench player. So listen, I just named around 7 teams. Washington Mystics, she's coming off the bench. They're not going to start her over Georgia Amore. Connecticut Sun, she probably will start, but I don't think so because they'll start Layla Lacan when Layla Lacan gets back. So that's not going to happen. So now I think she would start in Seattle. But for most of the league, Raven is a bench player. Her defense is starter worthy. Her 50-50 game is starter worthy. The fact that she would have an elite assist to turnover ratio is starter worthy. But point production, that's not starter worthy, right? And that's experience wise, not starter worthy. It isn't. Because when a bullets start flying and you're facing against the actual starting lineups with these teams, with real play designs, with real scouting, okay, to exploit your weaknesses, that's when we will see the real Raven Johnson, at least on offense. Don't worry about Raven on defense, right? I don't care how they try to scheme anything. Raven is going to dominate on defense. That's who she is. Now, I'm not saying she's going to lock down Kennedy Carter. I'm not saying she's going to lock down somebody like Kelsey Plum or someone like some of these super Enrique, some of these quick, fast, explosive, super elite guards in this league. But what I am going to say is that Raven, by the end of the season, she'll be top 5 in defensive rating. She'll be top 5 probably in defensive win shares. She'll be top 5 in steal percentage. Right? That's all I'm saying. So I'm not worried about Raven's defense. I'm not worried about her 50-50 game like Lexi. That's sublime. That's immaculate. I'm talking about offense, even with facilitating, because how is she going to look when the real starters get into the game and they're running real stuff? They're not spitballing on offense. They're running real stuff. Okay? They're not spitballing on defense. They're running real stuff, right? So how is her offense going to look in terms of facilitating when those windows are really, really small compared to preseason? How is that going to look, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. So for the majority of the WNBA teams, Raven isn't a starter. She just isn't. She just isn't, y'all. So if Caitlin goes down with another injury, if Aaliyah goes down with another injury, what's going to happen? We're getting into injury-prone territory for Caitlin Clark. Last season, 3 injuries, you guys. 3 injuries. It wasn't just 1 injury. Caitlin has only been injured 1 time in her whole career. No, she was injured 3 times. 3. Left quad, right quad, growing injury. 3 injuries in 1 year. Okay. No, wait a second. 4 injuries. I forgot about the ankle. Caitlin Clark had 4 different injuries last season. Left quad, right quad, growing, ankle. And we're not even getting into the migraine headaches that she's been having since she was a little girl. What are we talking about here? What are you talking about? And then earlier, the last preseason game, we saw her in some back brace looking thing. Then maybe the Fever are just being proactive, but that's what we saw. So if Caitlin goes down with another injury, we're getting into the injury-prone conversation with Caitlin Clark. I mean, it happens to most superstars in every league. In college, they couldn't be stopped. They couldn't be injured. They were Iron Men and Iron Women. And then you get to the WNBA and they just keep getting injured. They get to the NFL, the NBA, and these guys are getting injured when that just wasn't the case in college or high school. Right? There's only a few Iron Men in each league, in each sport. But they were Iron Men and Iron Women in college and high school. they get to the pros, they're getting injured. Right? Aaliyah Boston playing year-round basketball now for Unrivaled. And now the attrition has finally caught up to her. And so she now has a nagging lower extremity injury that they won't get into specifics with. They won't even say what it was, like they did with Damiris Dantas. We don't know what caused the concussion. We just know she had a concussion. We just don't know what caused the concussion. And they didn't even want to say anything about Caitlin's ankle injury at first. Right? So, but this is what it is. So yes, the ratings are going to be phenomenal next season for preseason games because of the new superstars coming in. But they're really going to break records when you see Juju Watkins in the Fever uniform because the Fever surreptitiously tanked and CFWBGODBAD called it before anyone ever thought of it. They never even considered it because they don't have foresight. They don't understand basketball. They don't understand roster construction. They just don't see it. They just don't see it. They can't see through these things. And so I got to provide them light. I got to open these doors for them. It's like, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't see that. Now that he mentioned that, he brought that up. I'm looking at the Fever roster and he's right. What if Aaliyah Boston goes down with a season-ending injury and Caitlin Clark goes down with another season-ending injury, or they're out for a significant period of time? He's right. The entire roster is full of bench players. Outside of Kelsey Mitchell, she's the only true starter. So they would have only one true starter if Aaliyah and Caitlin go down with significant injuries. He's right. And they're trying to sell us on, did you see what we did last season when we had all of these injuries? But then he pointed out, and in one of his earlier videos, when he brought this up about them surreptitiously tanking, he brought up the simple fact that they had veterans who were long in the tooth with callus who's been there and done that. And that's not what the Fever have right now, right? So the Fever still had Natasha Howard. Okay? The Fever had Odyssey Sims. The Fever had Aerial Power as a champion. The Fever had Shea Petty, WNBA finals, playoffs. The Fever plugged them in. They were bringing in players with experience, seasoned players. And so they were able to make these adjustments. And the Fever still had Aaliyah Boston. And the Fever had Kelsey Plum. Right? So it's not the same. It's not, you can't say, well, just because the Fever had success last season with all of those injuries, the team decimated with injuries. Well, if that happens this season, well, look at what she did last season. It's going to work again, right? Well, there's no Odyssey Sims. There's no Aerial Powers. There's no Shea Petty. You don't have Chloe Bibby. You don't have Natasha Howard. You don't have any of these players. Okay? You don't have Aaliyah Boston because she's gone. And that's the difference, you guys. That's the difference. Last team, you had some veterans on this team who played in the playoffs and they played in the finals or they won a championship. All right? Or multiple championships. You don't have that. Even with Aerial Powers, playoffs as a sixth woman or seventh in rotation, WNBA championship with the Mystics, been in the playoffs, not just in the States, but overseas as well. She's a champion. Okay, Shea Petty, playoff experience, WNBA finals as a starter. Shea Petty, y'all. Odyssey Sims, playoffs with two different teams. Okay? Experienced. That's Odyssey Sims. Natasha Howard, multiple WNBA championships. And then you got to bring in Aaliyah and everyone else we had available. So what are we talking about now? What's going on right now? What's going on right now is Well, Maisha Hines-Allen has a champion, but she was a deep role player for the Mystics. That chick was a super deep role player. I'm talking about, when I say role player, I'm talking about deep in the rotation. I mean, she got on the court and she contributed, but she wasn't like some major key piece for them in 2019. Ty Harris has playoff experience with the Connecticut Sun. You give her credit for that, but it's not to the level of Shea Petty or Odyssey Sims or Aerial Powers, right? It just isn't. So there's that. There's that. Demirs Dantes, obviously experienced player, long in the tooth. You give her credit for that. But listen, you guys. This is me spraying perfume on something that will just always have some nasty little odor to it. I don't care how much perfume you're just going to make it worse. Okay? You're just going to make it worse. What I'm telling you is if Aaliyah Boston goes down and Caitlin Clark goes down, you're screwed. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. You're screwed because you don't have quality depth. Because you purposefully ignored your main key issue, which was you need intimidating height. And not only intimidating, but height that is skilled, that can produce. You ignored that in the draft on purpose. You ignored that in free agency on purpose. You ignored that during the expansion draft on purpose. You're ignoring it now on purpose. And you're selling us, you feel like you built up this equity, and so you're selling us on, look at what we did last season. We can do it again. Well, Sophie normally gets injured. I mean, that's what we've been experiencing with Sophie the last few years of her career so far. Up to this point, Sophie has been going through certain injuries dating back to the Mercury. So what if Sophie, I thought Sophie was going to be injured last preseason game when she took her time getting up off the court. I think something happened to her arm, and I started thinking about her previous arm injuries with the Mercury. So Sophie is kind of fragile. So what's going to happen if Sophie goes down again on top of Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark? What are you going to do then? What are you going to do if Kelsey Mitchell slightly takes her foot off the gas this year because she wants to make sure that she's ready to go for Project B this November? Project B season begins this November, right? So what if Kelsey Mitchell is sort of taking her foot off the gas a little bit? And that's why in 2 different interviews, she's calling herself old. She feels old, but she's ready to go. This is my 9th year, feeling kind of old. And she said that twice in 2 different interviews. Wait a second. What are you telling us? So if I see Kelsey Mitchell slightly taking her foot off the gas when that's not normally Kelsey, okay, that's going to give credence to my belief that she's purposefully taking her foot off the gas so that she's ready to go full speed for Project B, which is paying her more. You can't convince me that Project B is only giving her two M's. I think Project B is giving her 3 M's or 4 M's. That's what I believe. So which league are you going to sell out more for? The WNBA, 1.4 million, or Project B, 3, 4, 5 M's? You're going to go with Project B. And I need to be at my best because we do know that Project B, those contracts are loaded with incentives, bonuses, all of these things, like it is in China with the WCBA. They got good behavior bonuses. They got conduct bonuses. They got, if you score the most points in this game, bonuses in China. So they got a lot of bonuses in Project B. So they're giving this chick 3, 4, 5 M's on top of the bonuses. She's going to need a lot of energy to get those bonuses, to reach those incentives. What do you think she's going to do? Take her foot off the gas. So we're dealing with injuries with the Fever. We got one player potentially who will take her foot off the gas so she can be full speed, ready to go for Project B. And then we look at our bench, we look at the depth, and we don't have quality depth. Versus these other WNBA teams loaded with quality depth, including the team we're facing tonight, the Dallas Wings. Now, obviously, Dallas are going to be out there spitballing. No one is going to show you everything that they're going to do on offense or defense, okay? They'll be spitballing. So we have to really start to judge, obviously, in a regular season, and then we get to see where we go from there, right? So that's all I'm saying. The Fever are 2 injuries away, and Kelsey Mitchell taking a foot off the gas from being a lottery team selecting Juju Watkins. That's what this looks like to me. So although the ratings are going to be great, they're going to be even better next season in preseason because Juju would be in a Fever uniform or Hannah Hidalgo. Right? And you heard it here for the 3rd time again because I'm the first one to ever bring this up. I made 2 videos about them surreptitiously tanking already. For Juju, this is now the 3rd video. This was dealing with ratings, and I decided to talk about this. Right? That's what that is, y'all. That's what that is. You understand? This is bad depth. This is bad depth. And listen, I love Kayana Traylor. I love Jessica Timmons. I got love for Shatori. I got love for KK. I got love for Passat. I got love for Megan, all of them. You can't keep them all. You can only keep 12. You're going to put 2 as your developmental players. I think that's going to be Justine if another team doesn't pick her, but I don't know if this is sort of like the NFL practice squad where you could sign practice squad players. So I don't know if that's the case here, but I think Justine Passat is a development player. They already said it. And I think the second development player is going to be at a Timmons, Traylor, Omega McConnell. Those 3 will be fighting for that 14th spot. The 13th player is going to be Justine Passat. The 14th player is going to be Timmons, McConnell, or Kayana Traylor. And the Fever got this game tonight, and they got 1 more preseason game. I believe the Fever have 3 preseason games. They're 5 days apart. So the Fever got tonight Justine, not Justine, but tonight Megan, Jessica Timmons, and Kayana Traylor got to lose their mind. And then the final preseason game, they have to lose their mind. Because I believe she's going to keep Aaliyah Boston out the entire preseason along with Lexi Hall. I think that's what's going to happen, and Ty Harris. So once again, Kayana, Timmons, and Megan McConnell are going to have to fight tooth and nail for that 14th spot to be a development player. I felt that Timmons beat out Megan and Kayana against New York, the first preseason game. She clearly beat them out. So now against Dallas, we got to see what Kayana is going to do, what Megan is going to do, and if Timmons can stay consistently good, impressive, right? Let me see. I think they got 3 preseason games last time I checked. Let me go back. Let me look at that. So we got tonight. This will be their second one. And they got another one on May the 2nd. That's their final preseason game, May the 2nd, the Fever against Nigeria. I just do not believe that she's going to play Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hall, or Ty Harris against Nigeria. No disrespect to Nigeria, right? No disrespect to Nigeria. I just don't believe it, okay? I don't believe it, right? No disrespect to Amukamara. No disrespect to Blessings Ojiafor. No disrespect to Kalu. None of them. No disrespect to Fevor, Nwandozi. No disrespect to any of those amazing women on Team Nigeria. No disrespect, right? But what I'm telling you right now is that I just don't believe Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hall, or Ty Harris will play, meaning what? That's more time for these women to separate themselves to get that 14th spot, right? Or that's even more time for Justine Passat to separate herself from Aisha Hines-Allen, and they can kick Aisha Hines-Allen off of this team and eat that money. Or however that's going to work. Rosalina Lee got a lot of potential, but Rosalina Lee, they're not cutting Michaela Timpson. That's just not going to happen. If they're going to get rid of one of these bigs, it's going to be Aisha Hines-Allen if they're going to keep Justine Passat. And if they favor 2 of these guards, then that makes sense, right? So then they could have Timmons and Kayana Traylor as a 13-14 player, or Timmons and McConnell as a 13-14 player, while moving Justine Passat up to the game day rosters, up to the official roster, and getting rid of Maisha Hines-Allen. So really, these next two preseason games are a battle between Maisha Hines-Allen and Justine Passat. I don't know if Maisha Hines-Allen contract is protected. I don't know, but we've seen the Fever move on from those type of contracts through trades or whatever. So I don't know. I have no clue. Right? I have no clue. But I believe that Justine Passat could potentially have them to get rid of Maisha Hines-Allen. That's what I believe. I don't think they're going to get rid of Timmons. I just don't believe it. Right? I don't believe they're going to get rid of Damaris. But I know she could separate herself from those three women in these next two preseason games. Okay? So I just wanted to highlight that. But one more thing real quick. Let me go to teams again, because I want to make this clear about depth. Okay? Chicago Sky, to me, they have the best roster in the league in terms of quality of depth. And when you pair that with their starters, Chicago's question mark is their head coach. He's the question mark. It's the head coach, without a doubt. That's the big question mark. So you go to Chicago, and we just saw what Sydney Taylor did yesterday, and she was always a really good player. She just won MVP overseas. She averaged, 23 points a game this past season overseas. So she was always a really good scorer. Her points went down a little bit at Louisville. They went down at Louisville, but you see her at UMass, just a great player. And she was good for Louisville, even though the field goal percentage went down to 38%. But then you see her overseas, and she's averaging over 23 points a game and shooting, over 40% from deep. And she always was skilled with the handles and separation and shot creation. So anyway, it looks like she played herself onto the Sky roster, or at least a development spot. But Camila Cardoso for rebounding and defense, not for offense, unless you need a quick point next to the basket. But you just need Camila for defense and rebounding. So you got Camila, Dejanay Carrington, Skylar Diggins, Rakia Jackson, Gabriela Jaquez, J.C. Sheldon, she's number 12 last season, number 12 in the league with 3-point percentage at 39%. Field goal percentage, 46.6%, was one of the top players in the league. Steal percentage, top 10 ranking for guards who've been in the league in their first 2 years. So there's that. So you got J.C. Sheldon, and she was the 5th overall pick in the 2024 draft, by the way. Azura Stevens, Haley Van Lith, Courtney Vandersloot, Maddie Westbeld, Elizabeth Williams, Sydney Taylor. You see where this is going, y'all. This is elite on all fronts. It's elite on all fronts. And just think who they have on their roster right now. They got 3 women who was picked in the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese draft in the top 5. They got 3 women who was picked in the top 5 of that draft. Number 1, Caitlin Clark. Number 2, Cameron Brink. Number 3, ding, 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 ding. This woman right here. She was the number 3 pick. You know who was the number 4 pick in that Caitlin Clark draft? Ding, 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 ding. This woman right here. You know who was number 5 in that Caitlin Clark draft? Ding, 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 ding. This woman right here. They got 3 women on their team who was picked in the top 5 of the 2024 WNBA draft. That is amazing. On top of the fact they got this woman, Haley Van Lith. They got her. They got this woman, before the injury, she was projected to be a first-round pick, Maddie Westbeld. Like, what are we talking about here? This team is freaking loaded. So let's count their 12. Let's do the starting lineup. Skylar Diggins, point guard. Okay. Shooting guard. No. Shooting guard. This woman right here, Dejanay Carrington. Small forward, Rakia Jackson, or wing 3. Stretch 4, Azura Stevens, the starting 4. At the 5, Camila Cardoso. That is absolutely 1,000,000,000% elite. Well, let's go 6 women off the bench. 6 women off the bench. Most likely is probably going to be Courtney Vandersloot when she gets back, because she's going to back up Skylar. And then you're going to have J.C. Sheldon. You're going to have Gabriela Jaquez. Okay. You're going to have Elizabeth Williams. Jesus, this is elite. You're going to have Rachel Banham. You're going to have Haley Van Lith. You're going to have Maddie Westbeld. And then you're going to have this woman right here, Sydney Taylor. Right? And Sydney is at least 6 feet tall. They all at 5'9". That's BS. That is elite. So let's count to 12. Skylar 1. Dejanay Carrington 2. Rakia 3. Ezra Stevens 4. Camilla 5. Courtney Vandersloot 6. Gabriela Jaquez 7. J.C. Sheldon 8. Elizabeth Williams 9. Haley Van Lith 10. Maddie Westbeld 11. Sydney Taylor 12. Your 13-14 player, that's going to be Latasha Lattimore. And then I believe they're going to keep Tony Morgan. It's either at a Tony Morgan or Kalula Bali. Kalula Bali. It's going to be at a Kalula Bali or Tony Morgan. So those would be the 2 developmental players. Or excuse me, it's going to be at a Latasha Lattimore, Tony Morgan, and Kalula Bali. So this is elite on top of elite. And I ain't even blessed you with Megan Nestor yet. Double machine at North Texas. 6'4", double machine. Her field goal percentage is around 60%. I didn't even get into Megan Nestor. So we gonna leave that one alone. This is 6'4" guaranteed double right here. With a damn near 60% field goal percentage. So this is elite. And I didn't even get into Aisha Sifka, who was supposed to come over this year. No one knows if she's still going to come over. But that's 6'4", can play 4 positions. She was their first round pick last season with the 10th overall pick. I ain't even get into Aisha Sifka. Right? Listen, I ain't even bring up Jordan Hobbs. And that's 6'3", do it all. I ain't even get into Jordan Hobbs. I just don't believe they're going to keep her. Do you see how this is elite on top of elite on top of elite? Their only question mark is their freaking head coach, Tyler Marsh. He's the only question mark. Right? Atlanta Dream. They're less elite than Chicago in terms of their bench depth, but they are top heavy. Their starting 5 is dominant, is far more dominant than the Fever, because the Fever got Monique Billings holding them back and Sophie Cunningham or Lexi Hall. So when you look at their starting 5, at the 5 spot is going to be Brianna Jones. At the 4 spot is going to be Angel Reese. At the 3 spot is going to be Ryan Howard. At the 2 spot is going to be Alicia Gray. At the 1 spot is going to be Jordan Canada. Then off the bench, you're going to see Izzy Borlase, who just won MVP in the WNBA in Australia. She was their 2nd round pick in 2024. She was their 2nd round pick. And with Niadu Pouch, she's now in Portland. But really, Izzy was a 1st round pick. She really should have been a 1st round pick. But anyway, so you got Izzy coming off the bench. You got Naz Hillman coming off the bench. You have Medina Okot coming off the bench. You have Tahina Powell coming off the bench, right? And so that's essentially what that is. And you could throw in maybe Sika Kone or Maddie Carzola, but like that's what that is. So this is substantial. This is substantial, right? Let's go to the New York Liberty. Let's go to their starting lineup. Jonquel Jones at the 5. Brianna Stewart at the 4. Satu Sabli at the 3. Leonie Thiebish at the 2. Sabrina Ionescu at the 1. That is insane. That is insane. Jonquel Jones at the 5. Stewie at the 4. Satu Sabli at the 3, Leonie Fibish at the 2, Sabrina Ionescu at the 1 coming off the bench. You got Benijah Laney, you got Mally, you got Han Shu, right? You got Maureen Johannes, and the list goes on and on and on. This is insane. My girl Dee Richards back. You got Rebecca Garner. This is insane. This is absolutely insane, right? So, like, let's compare. He wants to compare Ion to ESPN. Well, you know what's a fair comparison? Comparing rosters in the league to other rosters. And the Fever looks dead last to me, next to Portland. What are we talking about here? Who else do we want to? Hell, you know what? Let's go to the Mystics. Let's go to the Mystics. This could be a fair comparison. Let's look at starting lineup versus starting lineup. Lauren Betts at the 5. Shakira at the 4. At the 3, Cody McMahon. Whoa, wait a sec. I forgot about Kiki. So one of these bigs are coming off the bench. I forgot about Kiki. This is going to be tough because, oh my gosh. Maybe he makes Kiki play the 3. I don't know. I don't know how you could bench Lauren Betts. I know Shakira Austin is making all the money, but Shakira is more of a 4 than she is a 5. Kiki is more of a 4 than she is a 3, but she can play the 3. She just couldn't play the 3 better than Cody McMahon, right? And she wouldn't be versatile as Angela Dugalich at the 3 spot on offense. So they have a problem there because at the 2, it's going to be Sonia Citron, and at the 1, that's going to be Georgia. And off the bench, you're going to get Cody McMahon, and you're going to get Lucy Olsen, and you're going to get Michaela Anyuede, and the list goes on and on and on. So this team is more elite than the Fever's team, except the Fever have Caitlin, Kelsey, and Aaliyah, but that's it. Everyone else, Washington is destroying them, annihilating the Fever's roster. Okay? Dallas Wings, they play Dallas tonight, right? Let's go through the starting 5. And I don't know who's going to play point guard for them. I'm assuming it's going to be Paige Beckers, but I have no clue. I have no clue who's going to be their point guard. I seriously don't have a clue, y'all. So I don't even think it's fair to go through the starting 5 because I just don't know. What I know is Zarike is going to be in the starting 5. I know that. I know Paige Beckers is going to be in the starting 5. I know that. I know Alana Smith is going to be in the starting 5. I don't know if Jessica is. They're paying her a lot of money. But let's just go through the roster because this is an elite roster. Paige Beckers, Arike Gumawale, Alana Smith, Jessica Shepard, AZ Fudd, Lee Yuru, Awak Kior, 6'6", do-it-all, right? Who else am I missing? Isaiah James, JJ Quinterly, Odyssey Sims, Maddie Segrist, Grace Berger, Alicia Gray. Like, and the list goes on. This roster is 1,000,000,000,000 times better than the Fever's roster. And it's not even close. Let's go. Let's go to the Aces. The Aces are thorough from top to bottom, thorough. Okay, outside, the only one you can truly question is Kirsten Bell, although she had a damn good Athletes Unlimited season, right? And then you can question Stephanie Talbot's efficiency, but that's really it. So, you know who the starting 5 is. At the 5 spot, Asia Wilson. At the 4 spot, Nalissa Smith. At the 3 spot, Jackie Young. At the 2 spot, Kennedy Carter. At the 1 spot, who's going to play 1 for them? Oh, Chelsea Gray. Let's do that again. Asia at the 5. Nalissa Smith at the 4. Jackie Young at the 3. Kennedy Carter at the 2. Chelsea Gray at the 1. Coming off of the bench, you got Jewel Lloyd as your 6th woman. You got Dana Evans, Janiyah Barker, Breezy, Cheyenne Parker, Dana Evans, Kirsten, like, come on, what we talking about? What we doing? The only player they're going to waive is freaking Jordan Obi. That's the one that they're going to waive. Even though they like her, they're going to waive her. Come on, what we talking about here, y'all? Moving on. LA Sparks. Starting 5. Cameron Brink at the 5. Nneka Ogwumike at Dearica Hamby at the 4. Nneka Ogwumike at the 3. Kelsey Plum. No. Ariel Atkins at the 2. Kelsey Plum at the 1. Let me do that again. Cameron Brink at the 5. Dearica Hamby at the 4. Nneka Ogwumike at the 3. Ariel Atkins at the 2. Kelsey Plum at the 1. Off the bench, Ray Burrell, Erica Wheeler, Julie Van Lowe, Emma Cannon, Tanaya Latson, and the list goes on and on and on. This is much more elite than the Indiana Fever. 1,000% more elite. Phoenix Mercury. I mean, this roster just freaking loaded. Natasha Mack at the 5. At the 4, I'm having difficulties with the 4 spot because I don't know what the hell they're gonna do there. So let's just put it this way: Monica Coyle-McConney, DeWanna Bonner. I can even go with Jillian, but Monique Coyle-McConney, DeWanna Bonner, Kalia Carper, Kyra Linskins, Natasha Mack, Alyssa Thomas, Sammy Whitcomb, right? And then I could throw in players y'all don't know anything about, but these are dominant players. I can do Ashton Prechtio, right? I think I already mentioned Sammy Whitcomb. Okay, I can go in with Shay Shaziski. I can go in with her, right? I can go in with Yardine Garzon, right? Like I can mention other names. I can bring in my girl Lee Sul Kang from Korea. I could bring her in, but she's dominant, right? I could bring in a woman that's been cutting her teeth left and right overseas, Jamie Norred, right? Like, there's different names I could bring up. I could bring up Cara Dunn. But the fact is that he's probably only going to go 7 deep. So who's going to be his 7 versus the Fever 7, right? Alyssa Thomas, 1. DeWanna Bonner, 2. Kalia Copper, 3. Akoya McConney, 4. Natasha Mack, 5. Sammy Whitcomb, 6. And I'm not so sure who's going to be number 7, right? But yeah, this is it. If you look at this entire roster, especially if Catherine Westbell wasn't injured, you can clearly say that Phoenix have a better overall roster than the Fever. Okay? Seattle Storm. And at the 5, Dominique Malonga. At the 4, Ezzy McMagor. At the 3, Jordan Horston. At the 2, Flau'jae Johnson. At the 1, Natisha Hyman. Coming off the bench, our fam, Lexi Brown, Stephanie Dolson, Mackenzie Holmes, Katie Lou, and I can keep going on and on. I mean, it's Jay Melbourne. Like, this roster is 1,000,000,000% loaded. Zaya, my girl Renaya. I mean, this roster is loaded, y'all. In terms of quality depth, they just have more quality depth with than the Fever. Starting lineup, the Fever got them with Caitlin, Kelsey, and Aaliyah, but that's it. Like, this is serious, y'all. So you could say, okay, well, go to the Minnesota Lynx. Well, let's go to the Lynx. The starting 5 is better than the Fever starting 5, except they have Caitlin, Aaliyah, and Kelsey, right? But the starting 5, at the 5, who's going to be the center? Let me look here. I'm guessing the center is going to be Dorka Juhas, who just won MVP for the EuroLeague. So Dorka Juhas at the 5, at the 4, Nafisa Collier. Or at the 4, Nafisa, at the 3, Natasha, or the 4, Natasha, the 3, Nafisa, at the 2 spot, that's going to be Kayla McBride, and at the 1 spot, that's going to be Courtney Williams. Coming off the bench is going to be Olivia Miles. Okay. And then you got options like Nia Coffey, Salem Profenbarger, Aubrey Griffin, Jalen Sherrard. Like, so you got women coming out. Anastasia Kosu, which is Baby Nafisa. So Baby Fee is Anastasia Kosu, who was just dominating overseas, and she just won MVP. When they just won a championship, she was MVP. And she's one of the most beautiful women in women's basketball. And this chick is so fine too. So anyway, let me move off of that. But so yeah, if you look at the starting five, you could say, okay, they have a better starting five than the Fever. They just do. Right? Point guard, Courtney Williams. Two guard, Kayla McBride. At the 3, Nafisa Collier. At the 4, Natasha Howard. At the 5, Dorka Juhas. Coming off the bench, Olivia Miles. Okay? And then it gets a little bit dicey there, but at least they're starting 5. You can clearly say they have a better starting 5 than the Fever. Right? This looks dicey, but that's what it is. Portland. Now, this is bad on the surface, but when you add in constraints-led approach, okay, then it starts to get a little bit more interesting, especially when they become more comfortable with it. Okay, especially when they become more comfortable with it. But I can still argue that their depth is still better than the Fever's depth. Okay, all of this you're looking at is just depth. No one is a true starter, with the exception of probably Bridget Carlton. But I can argue that all of this is better than the Fever when you subtract Caitlin, Aaliyah, and Kelsey. All of this is better than the Fever. I can make that argument for Carla Lade. I can make that argument for Chloe Bibby. I can make that argument for Sarah Ashley Barker, Bridget Carlton, Emily Angsler, Louisa. I can make the argument for Megan Gustafson. I can make the argument for Haley Jones. I can make the argument for Jordan Harrison. She's damn good. If Nika Mule was healthy, I can make the argument. I can make the argument for Niadu Pausch. I can make the argument for Carly Samuelson. I can make the argument for Shug Sutton, right? Like, I can make arguments for Maya Caldwell. I can make these arguments. If you subtract Kelsey, Caitlin, and Aaliyah, that this roster is better than the Fever's roster. And then when you add that most crucial, important layer of constraints-led approach, CLA, this becomes a little bit more interesting, right? Let's go to Golden State, GSV. Let's go to GSV real quick. Now, obviously, if you subtract Caitlin, Aaliyah, and Kelsey, this is clearly a better roster. Not a better starting 5, but overall a better roster. Okay? Yoseti, who was just dominating overseas. Caitlin Chen, who was dominating Athletes Unlimited. Kyla Charles, Veronica Burton, Letitia Meeher, Tiffany Hayes, Kate Martin, Ileana Rupert, Janelle Saloon, Kia Stokes, Marta Suarez, Kyla Thornton, Gabby Williams, Xander Lassini, and the list goes on and on and on. They're only going to keep 12. 2 other players would be development players. I'm not sure who that 12 is going to be because obviously I'm not sure that all of the 12 is going to be. But what I can tell you is that, you will clearly, obviously, Veronica Burton at the 1, at the 2, that's going to be Gabby Williams. At the 3, at the 2 is going to be Janelle Saloon. At the 3, that's going to be Gabby Williams. At the 4, I believe that's going to be Kyla Thornton. And at the 5, I think she's going to be traditional and go with Kia Stokes. And then she's going to have Ileana Rupert coming off the bench, Tiffany Hayes coming off the bench, Yoseti coming off the bench, Kate Martin, Marta Suarez, Caitlin Chen. And that's the way that thing is going to go. So this is elite. And I didn't even want to forget about Mila Soa from Australia, who just won a championship with, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank, with Lauren Jackson and Oh my gosh. Lucy Olsen. Okay. So they all won a championship overseas in Australia. So with the Towns Fire. So they won a championship in the WNBL. So like that's what you're witnessing. Mila Sowa literally just won a championship in Australia. So just think about that. So they're gonna keep her. She's not going anywhere. So this is a much better roster than the Fever when you subtract Caitlin, Aaliyah, and Kelsey. This is clearly a better roster than the Fever from top to bottom. All of these rosters, did I go to Toronto? The only one I didn't do is Toronto and Connecticut. The last two. Okay. Julie Alderman at the 1, at the 2, Marina Mabry at the 2, at the 3. Whoa, I got to do this over with. They just cut Christy Wallace, and they cut 3 players today. So I know Christy was one of them. Yeah, they cut Christy, Madison Rochi, and they cut another one. It was another player they cut. Let me see. Oh, Dara Mabry, Marina Mabry, little sister. So nepotism didn't work out. But so Dara Mabry got waived, Madison got waived, Christy Wallace got waived, and that's bad for Christy, even though Christy played good. Was bad for her because she should have never set out last season. She decided to take a sabbatical and to have a whole year of just straight recovery, and it hurt her. Even though she played good last night, it still hurt her. So had she stuck with the Fever last season and had a bounce back year and looked really good last season, Christy Wallace would have received a long-term contract from some team. But because she took that sabbatical, it hurt her. So they got rid of Christy, Madison, and Dara. All right, so let's do this starting 5 because I'm forgetting about Brittany Sykes too. Let's do this starting 5. And they paid Tammy Fagbenley a lot of money too. We know for a fact Julie Alderman is going to be the point guard. That's number 1. We know for a fact Marina Mabry is going to be the 2 guard. But where does that leave Brittany Sykes? So maybe you can move Marina to the 2. Okay, that's fair. Julie Alderman, point guard. At the 1, Brittany Sykes, the 2 guard, Marina Mabry at the 3 spot. At the 4 spot, this gets interesting. This gets real interesting. Do they go small and play Maria Condé at the 4? Do they go with Isabel Harrison at the 4? Do they go with Nikolina Milic at the 4? They're not going to play Tioni Key at the 4. So the 4 is where I have a hard time with. I don't really know. But at the 5, that's going to be Tammy Fagbenley. She's going to play the 5. I don't know who the hell is going to play that 4. And then if you look off the bench, Maria Condé is elite. So you get her. You got Lexi Held. Right? You got Laska. You got Nicolina, you got Kiki Rice, you got Aaliyah Nye, you got Niara Sabli, you got Kia Nurse. So if you look at it, this is clearly a more talented roster. It's just that the Fever got Aaliyah, Caitlin, and Kelsey. But if you subtract those 3 women, this is just a better overall roster than the Indiana Fever. So the Fever are losing with everyone. The final team is Connecticut. Okay, it's the final team. So the point guard is going to be Layla Lacan. The 2 guard is going to be... Damn. Oh, this is interesting. I really don't know who's going to be their 2 guard. I know Layla is going to run a point. Okay, do they trust Sanaya Rivers this year to start her? Okay, that's fair. Okay, so... the point guard is Layla Lacan. The 2 guard is Sanaya Rivers. At the 3 spot, that'll be Anissa Morrow. At the 4, that's going to be Aaliyah Edwards. And at the 5, that's going to be Brittany Griner. Then you have Kennedy Burke coming off the bench. You will have Nell from France. She'll be coming off the bench at the 2 spot. You will have Olivia Nelson-Adoda. You're going to have Diamond Miller, Gianna Neekins, Charlize Ledger-Walker, and the list go Reagan Beers. Like this team is loaded. And I even mentioned my girl Madison Hayes. Like, this team is loaded, y'all. Absolutely loaded. So let's remove Caitlin, Kelsey, and Aaliyah. Who has the better roster? The Connecticut Sun. And it's not even close. It's not even close. So who really truly has the worst roster in the WNBA? You would have to, I'll give you 3 teams: Indiana, Phoenix, Portland. And the only reason why I'm saying Phoenix, now we know his roster is built to shoot at least 63s a game. So that's what we do know. And he believes volume is going to win out. So we clearly understand that. All I'm telling you is that he can only keep 12. And once you get past their top 6 or 7, this thing looks dicey. It starts looking dicey. Now you give him a pass because they're going to attempt like 63s a game. And that's analytics, okay? The math just works. If we're putting up 63s a game, we're probably going to win those games because we're going to make at least 32 to 36% of them. We're going to end up winning that game. And so there's that. But we're just dealing with overall roster. This isn't impressive once you get past the top 6 or 7. So I got to say Phoenix. Portland, this is a team full of role players. But still, it's still better role players than the Fever have. That's all I'm saying, right? And then who was the other team I said? I thought I said another team. I think I'm going to have to go with the Mystics. The Mystics look kind of sus. Once you get past like the top 6, they start to look kind of sus. Right? And I know some people are going to say Toronto. I disagree. To me, the 3 worst rosters, the Fever, the Mercury, and the Portland. The Fever, the Mercury, the Portland Fire, and then after that, I can go Lynx, right? And I can go Lynx after that. I mean, see, this is bad, y'all. So now you don't believe me? Look at the Fever roster again. Monique Billings, career role player, and she's in the starting lineup. Sophie Cunningham, career role player, bench player. She's in the starting lineup. Lexi Hall, career bench player in terms of her offensive game. And then after this, there's no question, it's career bench players out, right? I'm just speaking once you get past Aaliyah, Caitlin, and Kelsey, everyone is a bench player. Everyone. Now, Lexi's defense and hustle plays, that's starter worthy. Sophie Cunningham's 3-point percentage and hustle plays, starter worthy. But Sophie is a career bench player. Outside of a couple seasons with the Mercury, she's a career bench player. Lexi Hall, career bench player in terms of offensive game, career bench player. And everyone else is 1,000% career bench players once you get past Caitlin, Kelsey, and Aaliyah. And these bench players can't even come close to these other teams' bench players. Not even close. The only argument you could make is maybe you could throw in Phoenix in there to some degree. And but I mean, this is bad, y'all. So what I'm saying is that expect Juju Watkins in a Fever uniform if Caitlin and Aaliyah goes down with a season-ending injury. Expect the Fever to be drafting Juju Watkins. I just wanted to highlight that. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't think people are paying attention. So although this video was about black and white sports not understanding ratings, and I've proven that in this video, that led me to preseason games next season. Now that these networks see what Ion has done with these ratings, and they feel that they could package it better than Ion because they're more established for sports than Ion. And they're going to make money hand over fist in terms of ad spots, selling ad spots and sponsorships. And you don't have to put a lot of money into it because of different shows on your network, all you got to do is send Shanae Agumake and Andrea Carter the First Take to talk about the preseason game, or send them to Get Up to talk about the preseason game, or WNBA Today to talk about the preseason game. So you don't really got to put a lot of money into it. They're going to be making money hand over fist next season with these preseason games. They didn't want to touch him this time around except for Ayan because they didn't think it was going to really do a lot of damage. And now when you look at it, they're like, wait a second, and we're getting in these new stars next season. Hannah Hidalgo, Juju, Audi, Crooks, Malaysia Fawali, and the rest of them. Wait a second, let's start getting some of these preseason games. And then it led me to Juju because I'm thinking about, wait a second, what if the Fever have Juju on the roster because the Fever are surreptitiously tanking? That means these numbers are going to be added through the roof, out of this world. Right? On a different planet next season, a different galaxy. So that's what I wanted to talk about. So tell Black and White Sports to go back to 5th grade. It's pretty pathetic. Him and Ben Dangus, go back to 5th grade. It's bad. It's just bad. It is.
Oh, darling, darling, what have I done? Well, I've been away from you too long, and all my days have turned to darkness, and I believe my heart is turned to stone. Oh, darling, darling, what have I done? Now I don't say anything at all. Well, God don't listen to me no ways. Now I'm left here all alone. Ooh, I hear what the neighbors say, that poor boy, he's lost his way. Well, I let the others pray. Oh, darling, darling, what have I done? Now I do my talking with a gun, and blood will spill into the gutters, and it will stain the morning sun. Ooh, tell me what the hell I've done. Can I stop at one, or have I just begun? Take out the bodies that live, Lord, it gets me high. I think I'm gonna get my fill of taking lives. Oh, Lord, I don't wanna let my baby die. Well, I just wanna give her something warm of the kind. Oh, darling, darling, what have I done? I've been astray from you too long, and all my days have turned to darkness. Hell is leaving the light on, and ooh, will hang me way up high. God himself will drop me from the sky and let me swing a while. Oh, darling, darling, what have I done? Oh, darling.